circular economy is becoming an ever more important part of the wider sustainability debate, and this is, I think, for three reasons. The first is because there is a growing realisation that embedded carbon is a very significant part of the construction industry's contribution to global warming. The second is that if we continue with a linear economy where we discharge everything we use into the biosphere, we're going to have an increasingly detrimental impact on the environment and species depletion. And then thirdly, a topic which I don't think is debated quite as widely as it will be soon, is resource depletion, where we're just frankly running out of the raw materials we need to use for our building design. We've done a lot of research on this over the last 2 years, and we've really discovered that it's not all about circular economy products. It's actually about circular economy projects. And if we are going to find solutions for this, then it's going to be an essentially collaborative process. In the context of the circular economy project, design obviously has a very significant contribution to make, and as designers we need to take that responsibility seriously. As a lighting designer, I see that we have three main areas of contribution in that if we are going to avoid, reuse, renew and recycle in the hierarchy of waste. The first is daylight. It's a carbon-free source of illumination, the only one, and it also has innumerable benefits in terms of the wider well-being of the people that use and inhabit our buildings. The second is specification, and this is not only about engaging with manufacturers in terms of the nature of their products, but it's also the ways in which they bring them to market as well. So it's about process as well as product. And then lastly, we need to start de-aggregating our equipment from the buildings. I've, for 2 decades, been advocating ever greater integration of light and light fittings into the material of our buildings. But actually this debate is driving a new aesthetic where we are separating the equipment from the buildings so that it can be more easily replaced and reused, and giving our buildings a greater longevity so that new and exciting uses can be facilitated through a flexible lighting solution. Construction is one of the vital chains in the circular economy loop. And that's really obviously because a client can create a sustainable brief and a design team can come up with a sustainable solution. But if it's not built, it has no value. And this is not only about keeping to a specification and looking at how we can evaluate value as opposed to always cost, but the construction industry needs the help of clients and designers in their efforts to deliver it. We've discovered that actually there is quite a lot of enthusiasm and interest in this within the construction industry, but we've got to help them in creating contracts that allow them to be deliverable, and we need to institute governance systems that enable us to check that what we're asking for is being delivered. Because it's not only about product, it's also about process. It's how the product is brought to site. It's about off-site manufacture, it's about supply chains and knowing what those supply chains are and their credentials. It's complex, but it's not insolvable. And it's something that we need to work together to create good, robust, resilient solutions. How we operate buildings is going to be key if we're going to create this virtual circle. And it's one of the most intractable problems, I think, for several reasons. One is because there's a very pervasive split between OPEX and CAPEX costing and accounting, but also because when we're talking about operations of buildings, it's not about single individuals or teams that have to be brought onto the journey once. Over a 20+ year life of a building, there's going to be multiple people that are taking responsibility of the way in which a building is used and maintained, and how the product and materials within that building are released back into the supply chain at end of use. So what that needs is institutional intelligence, and what that needs is a change in culture, which is difficult. But if we're going to do that, then as design teams and constructors, we need to help bring people along that journey. And I believe that the best way of doing that is engaging them in the design process, so that they understand the aims of the project and then are much better equipped to deliver that. And there is some good news as well around the corner, partly because with the advent of the Internet of Things and smart buildings, there's going to be more intelligence embedded in our products that will help people understand what they can do with that product when it's time to change it. And even in the advent and before such high-tech solutions perhaps are readily and commonly available, there are really simple things like an improvement of product labelling and the way in which we construct our own end manuals. So again, if we're going to make sure that this link in the chain is not broken, it's all going to be about collaboration and working together as a team. Where do we go when a product comes to the end of its life? Well, the last thing we want to do is to throw it into landfill. But there are a multitude of really interesting solutions that are being proposed. Essentially, we need a second-hand market in product, and we're beginning to start those conversations to make sure that that is actually a realistic and safe and reliable option. But also, it's not the end of the road. It should be the start of a new road and start feeding into the briefing process for new projects as we learn together. I'm proud this year to have become a co-founder of the Green Light Alliance, which is a network of interested parties involving everybody from clients, users, designers, manufacturers, construction, education and academia, to try and find practical solutions to these things, but in a realisation that it's going to involve ongoing collaboration and communication between all parties, discover new solutions, new business models, but to create that virtuous circle.